fucking Indian.
Tonight, a disturbing video is posted online that has some Nova Scotia lobster fishers scared.
Put a sign on my window near my door saying social distancing. Do the same.
COVID-19 vaccinations are up and running for small communities in the Northwest Territories.
My duties as a commodore are to guide the general direction of the club.
And meet the new commodore at one of the most exclusive yacht clubs in Vancouver. Good evening, welcome to APTN National News. I'm Dennis Ward. In Nova Scotia, Mi'kmaq lobster harvesters of Sipekne'katik First Nation say the backlash from non-Indigenous fishermen has gone online. As Angel Moore reports, someone sent a Mi'kmaq woman a video, and now she fears for her safety.
Fucking Indian.
It sounds like a racial slur and 6 gunshots in the background. This video was sent to Jolene Marr last week. Although it's difficult to see what is exactly going on, Marr took it as a threat.
My whole body just overcome with fear, because I've seen how these individuals acted in public.
Marr is referring to the violent attacks that occurred last fall. Non-Indigenous fishermen reacted with violence after Sipekne'katik First Nation launched their moderate livelihood fishery. Non-Indigenous fishermen say it's illegal. Jolene says she has been followed and her family is taking precautions to stay safe.
I guess I kind of kept an eye on that prior to this, but I guess I just have a little sharper eye now. I'm a little more cautious. I feel sick to my stomach that I have to do this.
Marr's brother, Jason, was surrounded in a lobster pound by an angry mob on October 13, 2020. Jason, fearful for his safety, barricaded himself inside. RCMP were criticized for standing by. Last week, 23 people were charged for that. 15 people were charged for break and enter. 8 people were charged for break and enter and mischief. They'll all appear at Yarmouth Provincial Court on March 29th. Angel Moore, APTN National News, Jabuktuk, Halifax.
In Ottawa today, Justin Trudeau and other federal officials gave an update on the delay of Pfizer vaccines and how that may affect vaccination plans. The Prime Minister also responded to the possible cancellation of the Keystone XL pipeline. Jamie Pashagumscum reports.
With the COVID-19 vaccine in full swing across the country, the Prime Minister praised vaccination efforts in Indigenous communities, specifically on Vancouver Island, Nunatsiavut, and 9 Cree communities in Quebec. Trudeau also reassured Canadians that the delay in delivery of the Pfizer vaccines will not affect long-term vaccination goals.
I can assure you that Minister Anand is talking almost daily with Pfizer and the other vaccine companies to ensure that we get as many doses as possible, as quickly as possible, and that work will continue. We will not rest, we will not slow down until we get as many Canadians vaccinated as quickly as we possibly can.
Major General Danny Forte says some provinces will be affected more than others in the short term. Distributions are done in multiple trays of 975 doses.
So provinces that were expected to receive 1 tray receive none. Those are receiving 2, if you cut, could receive 1, and so on and so forth. So the impact will be felt more in some jurisdictions due to the overall number being different from one province to the next.
Canada's top doctor, Theresa Tam, says there is a chance that vaccinated individuals could still transmit the virus to others, and the new virus variants mean more of the population needs to be vaccinated.
To achieve population protection or herd immunity is expected to be probably somewhere closer to 60-70%. Now, having said that, if you had virus variants that are more transmissible, you may actually have to have more vaccine coverage to achieve population immunity. So that's why we're conscious of the spread of these more transmissible variants.
Meanwhile, Trudeau was asked about President-elect Joe Biden's decision to cancel the Keystone XL pipeline.
I've been very, very clear on my support for this project for the past 7 years. I brought up this issue in my very first conversation with President-elect Biden before Christmas. Our officials in Washington have continued to make the case for Keystone XL.
The Prime Minister says he will be speaking with the President-elect on this in the coming days. Jamie Pashagumskam, APTN National News, Ottawa.
The urban community in Montreal is grieving the death of an Innu man who was found dead just outside of a closed homeless shelter. As Lindsay Richardson reports, the Quebec coroner is promising an investigation.
He was referred to in most headlines as the homeless Indigenous man found dead just outside a closed Montreal shelter. We now know his name is Raphael Andre, and he was Naskapi, Innu. 51-year-old Andre is a registered member of the Innu community of Matimakush-Lac-John in Quebec's Côte-Nord region. He was a near-daily client of the Open Door shelter in Montreal's Milton Park neighborhood, a stone's throw from the porta potty where he was found on Sunday morning. It's believed he froze to death, and AFNQL Regional Chief Ghislain Picard is demanding immediate action from Quebec and City of Montreal officials to prevent more similar deaths. Mayor Valérie Plante said Andre's death is one too many in the homeless community, and on Tuesday she officially asked Quebec to exempt the homeless from the province-wide curfew. In just over a week, at least 5 homeless Montrealers received $1,500 tickets for staying out past 8 p.m. The Quebec Coroner's Bureau is now investigating in the case and won't be making any details public until a final report is turned in. Meanwhile, I'll have more on how Andre's death is affecting the homeless community in Montreal, as well as his home community further north sometime later this week. For now, I'm Lindsay Richardson reporting for APTN National News in Montreal.
Responding to Plante's request, Premier François Legault says no exemption will be granted. He says he believes people will pretend to be homeless to avoid curfew. Well, troubling new statistics are coming out of Saskatchewan today. Global News reported a record number of deaths of children in the child welfare system in 2020. 36 children with open CFS files died last year. 35 of them were Indigenous. It's highlighted the need for First Nations to move ahead on Bill C-92 to take over child welfare, says David Pratt. He's the Vice Chief of the Federation of Sovereign Indigenous Nations, and he joins us now from Saskatoon. Chief Pratt, thanks for being with us. So what went through your mind when you heard 35 Indigenous children involved in the child welfare system died last year?
Well, shocking numbers, obviously. We're not pleased at all with the loss of even one of our children that's in the current child welfare system. So very disconcerting numbers to hear. And obviously, I think we believe it's a number of reasons that are coming into play with those numbers being super high. I think they're the highest so far since they've been collecting data.
Nations taking over jurisdiction of child welfare from provincial governments is seen by many as an urgent matter. Where are things at in Saskatchewan with regards to nations and their agencies taking over control?
Well, in Saskatchewan here, we've had the EPICIN has had a position on child welfare that was developed. That work began in the early 80s and was ratified by our chiefs in assembly in, I believe, in 1990. Received third and final reading, which was our own EPICIN Child and Family Framework Act on child welfare, which stated our positions. Since that time, we've been building capacity, created the Indian Child Welfare, our own agencies with our member nations, and they've done some tremendous work. And of course, Bill C-92 was a huge part, instrumental, that we were involved in to the EPICIN and supported that process. And we believe that was a huge move for recognition of our inherent rights and our jurisdiction. And right now we have a number of our member nations that are moving forward and at various stages on developing their own enabling legislation on child welfare. I know Kansas, and no secret, has been moving forward very ambitiously, developing their child welfare legislation, and is working very closely with the government of Canada, as well as the Ministry of Social Services here in Saskatchewan. And I think they're very close to an announcement here within the next couple of months. Several other of our member nations are working on their own pieces of enabling legislation too, as well, on it. So we have a lot of our member nations that are at different levels and various levels of them doing that work on their own legislation that will be moving forward on asserting that jurisdiction. We know it's going to take some time. We know that it's a process that can't happen overnight. It has to be done thoroughly. It has to be done properly. And we're going to do our best here to support them at the Federation as each of them are moving forward on their own specific legislation.
Well, Chief Pratt, we all look forward to some real change taking place. We'll have to leave it there, but appreciate you taking some time for us.
Thank you very much. Stay safe.
Time for a quick break, and then we'll look at why the Manitoba Metis Federation is setting up its own COVID-19 testing site. Welcome back. The Manitoba Metis Federation is taking matters into its own hands when it comes to COVID-19. The MMF opened a COVID-19 testing site this week strictly for Métis citizens. Our Daryl Stranger has the details.
The Manitoba Metis Federation will now be able to test its citizens for COVID-19 separate from the province. The Federation partnered with Winnipeg company Intrinsic Analytics to be able to deliver tests to both symptomatic and asymptomatic Métis citizens.
So what we want to do is we want to find out how we can assist our Métis citizens in the province of Manitoba, and the timelines are just exorbitant with the provincial government, and we don't have a working relationship with them. So we're trying to streamline our information and make sure that our citizens have access to testing sites and COVID vaccine or any resources that's available for COVID-19.
The MMF says testing results will be available within 24 hours. Those wishing to get tested will have to call a number and book an appointment, as the location of the site will not be revealed to the public because they don't want to overload the space. 10 to 20 tests can be done daily.
We don't want a flood happening to this particular location. It's got to be done in a very progressive, in a very organized way. And we want to make sure that families know that they can trust once this appointment's been made, or individuals get this appointment made, they are going to get tested for sure.
According to the province, COVID-19 testing results in Manitoba take as little as 22 hours for their testing sites, and they have concerns about how the MMF will share information. The province provided APTN News with the following statement. Although the MMF are welcome to provide this redundant service, it is concerning as to how they intend to connect their test results with the public system to ensure appropriate contact tracing. President Chartrand says this site will be able to provide clear results as to where positive cases are coming from among Métis citizens.
Because now we'll know where the individual's coming from, we'll know what community, what neighborhood they're from, and so we'll be able to quickly address our Métis government plan, because we have no choice. We're on our own in this province right now, and we got to take our own action.
Daryl Stranger, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
The rollout for the Moderna vaccine started in the early new year in Saskatchewan's far north. Elders and frontline health workers have been receiving the vaccine. The Director of Health and Social Development for the Prince Albert Ground Council says it might be a while before the general population gets the vaccine.
So in our communities, we're starting with our healthcare workers first. If there is a personal care home or a senior home, it would be those individuals as well, and the most elderly. In our communities, we can do 50 plus, and so I can't really say what the percentage is, but we still have quite a few of those to do before we can get to the rest of the general public.
The Northwest Territories vaccination campaign is also in full swing. For many in remote communities, Moderna's COVID-19 vaccine is a shot of hope to one day reconnect with family and get back to cultural gatherings. Our reporter Charlotte Mort Jacobs has that story.
No problem. Okay. No.
It's elders like Alfred Belargin who Lena Drygeese connects with. thoroughly explaining and answering questions about Moderna's COVID-19 vaccine.
Because otherwise, if they don't get the vaccine and then they end up getting sick, they will probably question themselves, why didn't I just get a needle? Why didn't I do this? Why didn't I ask questions about it? You know, things like that they might say to themselves later on.
Draghi speaks Willowday and Dogrib, and although it was only hours ago that she came in as an interpreter, she rose to the challenge, eager to help her community of Detta, Northwest Territories.
Because sometimes we don't find a word, and so we kind of have to demonstrate on what part of their body it is, like say your elbow between here and here, right there, like no gros, like your arm.
Much of the NWT's pandemic coverage focuses on the closed border and strict enforcement of COVID-19 restrictions. But residents are also responsible for keeping the NWT safe.
I didn't go out and mingle as much as before. Put a sign on my window near my door saying social distancing. Do the same, must show. That's what I have on the sign.
Healthcare teams have been administering doses to smaller remote communities over the last few weeks. Riel Nekako says she's happy to see Indigenous participation in the vaccine campaign.
I feel like the people who do see me, or I think that they really enjoy it, and I feel that there might be a little bit more welcoming. They've been great. Everybody's been lovely, but I just feel like being part of this is huge for our culture and for the North and for all of the people here.
190 doses were allotted in Detta at this clinic on January 15th, and many arrived early to roll up their sleeves.
I'm just happy that finally here, everybody should get it, just to be safe.
Well, I'm a grandmother now on December 17th, so I'm really trying to get to the Yukon so I can see my grandbaby.
Oh, yeah.
So this might just, shorten that restriction, travel restriction.
As of January 19th, close to 1,900 residents have received a vaccine, with second doses expected to be given in 28 days. Charlotte Mort-Jacobs, APTN National News, Detta.
Still to come, a big change on the way for the prestigious Vancouver Yacht Club. Welcome back. Let's take a peek now at our photo of the day. This was sent to us by Caitlin Brightnose as she got a picture of the Moderna vaccine as it was arriving in Puckatawagan on Sunday, January 17th. The first to receive that vaccine was Elder Sarah Cook. And for more on that story, you can visit our website, aptnnews.ca. We also want to see more pictures sent to share at aptn.ca for our next photo of the day. Now let's take a look at tomorrow's weather forecast. Starting on the east coast, -3 with snow for St. John's, 2 below in Halifax. -21 and snow in Kuujjuaq. Snow and -10 in Nain. -7 with flurries for Montreal, 18 below and snow in Chibougamau. Snow and -2 for Toronto, flurries and 4 below in Sault Ste. Marie. Snow and -3 for Thunder Bay and Sioux Lookout. In northern Manitoba, 18 below and snow in Thompson, -7 with flurries for Norway House. Snow and +2 for Winnipeg and Gimli, 0 with snow in Brandon. Sun's out in Saskatoon and Regina with a high of -2. +2 with snow for Buffalo Narrows and Meadow Lake. Picking back up in northern Alberta, +3 with snow for High Level, 4 above and snow in Fort McMurray. +3 and sunny in Lethbridge, 0 with the sun out in Calgary. +7 in Victoria, Vancouver and Tofino. +4 for Fort Nelson, 0 in Prince George. 14 below with snow for Old Crow, -7 in Whitehorse. -11 with snow for Yellowknife, 3 below in Fort Liard and Trout Lake. -23 in Sax Harbor, snow and 13 below for Pawlatuck. -27 with snow for Baker Lake and Chesterfield. Minus 14 with snow in Resolute, 11 below, and snow in Arctic Bay. One of the oldest and most prestigious yacht clubs in Vancouver has a new captain running the ship. As Tina House explains, the new Commodore hopes to take the exclusive club in new directions as its leader.
Set along the shoreline of Vancouver's Point Grey neighborhood is the Royal Vancouver Yacht Club. Established in 1903, the club is exclusive for those that can afford its $40,000 yearly membership fee. The club now has a new skipper, and for the first time in its history, he happens to be Indigenous. Peter Wheelick from the Stolo First Nation was named the new Commodore of the prestigious institution.
There's been about 80 or 90 Commodores, and I'm the first Indigenous one. We have a few, my family, like my brother and my daughter, and you have family members that are also members of this club, and there's another Indigenous family in here, so we're not, there's not many Indigenous families within the yacht club, but it's becoming more diverse.
His term lasts a year, and his role is overseeing the day-to-day operations, and it's something he's very proud of.
My duties as a Commodore are to guide the general direction of the club in a direction that the membership wants it to go into.
According to Wheelick, the club is trying to encourage the younger generation to get involved.
The way to sustain the membership is to make it more inviting to youth, is get the youth involved, get families involved, like parents, and get their kids out sailing with sail training programs. Down on the dock down there, you can see there's windsurfers down there. We have bicyclists here for people to use. So we're trying to really promote the involvement of youth membership.
Tina House, APTN National News, Vancouver.
I wonder how much a youth membership is. Well, ending gender-based discrimination within the Assembly of First Nations will be the work of a group now being set up. It's a result of a resolution passed at the recent AFN AGA, calling for an investigation into the organization. AFN Regional Chief Roseanne Archibald, who spoke passionately about the need for an investigation, says she received a nasty email from a chief in BC right after the resolution passed. Archibald is our guest tonight on Face to Face.
I hear from other chiefs and other regional leaders that they've had these kinds of incidences where they have felt not treated equitably by people that they've worked with. So it's definitely not a unique situation. It is happening at a rate that I would say is still too high in this day and age. We're in 2021, and we really need to have healthy spaces for women and safe spaces in order for them to exercise their leadership.
And you can see the entire interview with Regional Chief Archibald in just about 1 minute's time on Face to Face. And a reminder to tune in live tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern Time as we put TikTok in focus. Should be a good show. Well, that is all the time we have for tonight. I'm Dennis Ward. Thanks for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your evening.